Deep within the mist-shrouded forests of Java, a name is whispered that makes even the bravest elders tremble: Wewe Gombel. She is more than just a ghost. She is a manifestation of grief and maternal instinct gone horribly wrong. Legend says she kidnaps children who are neglected or mistreated by their parents, hiding them away in a realm that exists between our world and the next. Tonight, we aren't just telling another campfire story. We are stepping into the thick fog to uncover why some children are never found, and why the protection she offers is a fate far worse than death. Imagine a village where the sun sets early, and the shadows of the massive Semeru Mountains stretch like long, dark fingers across the valley. The air here is thick with the scent of wet earth and jasmine, a smell the locals associate with the presence of the supernatural. Here, the boundary between the living and the spirit world is paper-thin. People lock their doors and windows tightly, not against thieves, but against the Great Mother, who is said to wander the treetops. They say if you hear a soft weeping song carried on the midnight wind, it's already too late to bring your little ones inside. Our story centers on a young boy named Booty. He wasn't a bad child, but his home was a place of constant noise and anger. His parents were always busy, always arguing, and in their bitterness, they often forgot the silent boy watching from the corner. One evening, after a particularly heated fight that shook the thin walls of their home, Booty slipped out of the back door, seeking the quiet sanctuary of the woods. He didn't know that the forest was watching him with 1,000 eyes. He didn't know that a pair of yellow eyes, filled with an ancient, twisted love, had been waiting for a child who felt alone. Days turned into weeks, and the initial search parties returned with nothing but torn pieces of cloth and terrifying stories. They spoke of a towering silhouette seen moving effortlessly through the high bamboo groves, far above where any human could climb. Booty's mother, consumed by a sudden and crushing guilt, refused to stop searching. She ventured deeper into the heart of the jungle than any sane person would dare, driven by a primal need to reclaim what she had lost. But the deeper she went, the more the forest seemed to change around her, the trees twisting into shapes that resembled grasping hands reaching for her throat. She finally found it, the nest. It wasn't a cave or a simple hut, but a pocket of reality where time itself seemed to have stopped. The ground was littered with toys from different eras, antique wooden tops lying next to modern plastic trucks, all covered in a fine layer of gray dust. The air was unnaturally warm and humid, like the inside of a living womb. And then she saw her, Wewe Gombel, standing 7 feet tall, with hair like tangled vines and skin the color of cold ash. She cradled a small, motionless bundle in her long, withered arms, humming a tune that sounded like a funeral dirge.
The mother didn't scream. Her voice had been stolen by terror. She approached the creature, sobbing and begging for her son. The spirit turned slowly, her face a horrific mask of sorrow rather than malice. She didn't attack. Instead, she offered the child to the mother with a gesture that looked almost holy. But as the mother reached out, she noticed something that froze the blood in her veins. The child in the spirit's arms wasn't Booty. It was a child wearing clothes from decades ago, his eyes wide and glazed with a terrifying sense of peace. He wasn't dead, but he wasn't truly alive either.
"He is safe now," the creature whispered, her voice sounding like the rustling of dry, dead leaves. "Safe from the cold, safe from the words that hurt." The mother realized with a jolt of horror that Wewe Gombel didn't think she was a monster. She believed she was a savior. To her, the human world was the true horror, filled with pain and neglect, and her realm was the only true sanctuary. The mother tried to turn and run, but the bamboo around them seemed to grow instantly, weaving itself into a living cage that blocked every exit. As the mother collapsed in despair, She caught sight of a puddle of stagnant water on the forest floor. She looked at her reflection, but she didn't see the woman who had entered the woods an hour ago. She saw a reflection of a woman she didn't recognize, a woman from a century ago, dressed in tattered rags. Memories that weren't hers began to flood her mind like a broken dam. She remembered losing a child to a famine. She remembered the village turning against her and calling her a witch. She remembered the exact moment her grief became so heavy that she stopped being human. The realization hit her like a physical blow to the chest. She wasn't the mother searching for booty. She was the newest incarnation of the curse. The entity standing before her isn't the original Wewe Gombel, but simply the woman who came before her, finally ready to pass on the burden of this eternal motherhood. The son she was looking for was never real. He was a lure, a spiritual echo designed to bring her back to her true, forgotten nature. The eternal curse requires a fresh soul, a mother's broken heart, to keep the cycle spinning forever.
As the old spirit finally fades into the mist, her form dissolving into a pile of dead leaves, the protagonist feels her own body stretching and warping. Her hair lengthens until it touches the ground, and her instincts begin to shift into something dark and predatory. The anger and guilt she felt as a human are replaced by a singular, overwhelming urge to find a child who is crying in the dark, to find a child who is unloved or forgotten, to bring them here, to the safety of the twilight, where they will never have to grow up and face the cruelty of the world. Back in the village, a new legend begins to take root. They tell stories of a mother who went into the woods and never came back, and how now there are two shadows in the trees instead of one. The curse of Wewe Gombel isn't just a haunting, it's a recruitment. Every time a heart breaks from the loss of a child, or a child's heart breaks from neglect, the Great Mother grows stronger. Her family of lost souls is constantly expanding in the eternal misty twilight of the Javanese jungle, waiting for the next parent to slip up and the next child to wander too far. So the next time you hear a branch snap or a soft melodic humming outside your window at night, don't just ignore it. Make sure your loved ones are close and your heart is full of the love they need. Because once the Wewe Gombel decides you need her protection, there is no coming back to the light. She is the mother you never wanted, in the home you can never leave. If you enjoyed this dive into the darker side of Indonesian folklore, don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates. Stay safe out there and keep your lights on.